Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Celtic World, the Celtic YouTube show and podcast that celebrates the worldwide reach of the famous Glasgow Celtic. And I'm your host for tonight, Stephen. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice that there's no Gav. He's moving house at the moment, and he has the usual problems with the internet, getting it all set up and everything, and being such a perfectionist. He wasn't going to risk, dropping out in the middle of the show or anything. So it's me, and I'm very fortunate tonight to be joined by the
right on cue.
By two people, I think. By the regular host of a drink along, the wonderful Dano in Korea. How are you doing, Dano?
Good, Stephen. Reunited, and it feels so good. Last time we did kind of a duo show, I was way late, stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
a few months back.
I was
Busan. Yeah, and good, man. Good. I mean, kind of disappointed we couldn't do a drink along over the weekend, but I guess the storm that hit Glasgow and Scotland was a doozy. We're kind of getting hit by a blizzard right now, or at least some heavy snow here in Gwangju. So I got the week off for Lunar New Year. Happy Lunar New Year to everybody in East Asia celebrating. And much needed break for me, man. I've been working.
Yeah. So I believe it's the year of the snake this year. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, last year was the year of the rat. I was kind of wondering to myself while I was out walking, getting some exercise today, like, what year is it going to be? But I don't know. I got distracted by X-Man and some of his antics, and I didn't really look it up. I think it is the snake, though. Do you know your Chinese sign?
I don't know. I just there's a Chinese person works in the office, same office I work in, and she decorates the offices with all the Chinese stuff. And she was telling me it was the year of the snake, so that's the only reason I know.
Yeah. I mean, I've looked it up. It's like people will ask you here in Korea, like, what is your T, which is like, what is your lunar sign? And 1978, the horse. So good sign, I think. Good sign. But anyways,
all right,
we got a lot to talk about.
What's the point? Yeah, we have. Yeah, we're also going to be joined by David in Bangkok, but David's having some technical issues. Seems to be a bit of a theme for the night. So David's will probably jump in as soon as he gets that sorted out. So we'll crack on in the meantime, and we'll just maybe say hello to some of the guys that are in the comments. So the first one on board, as always, was Monty. Obviously didn't realise that Gav's not here. So hello, Monty. How you doing? We're going straight into that. That's you, Dano the drop. That's yourself, Craig Young. Craig Youngs. Welcome, Craig. Alpha 0964 is in there talking about the postponement of Saturday being a blessing, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I think that's about it. That's about the extent of the regulars. So there's David there. David.
Sorry about that, lads. It was the office internet crashed, so I've been running about like a headless chicken to try and get it sorted. But hopefully you can hear me rather than the last time when I was about 2 minutes behind everyone. So apologies and welcome to everyone.
I was trying to work out how you were in the office, David, because it's a public holiday here in Australia today. So I keep thinking it's Sunday. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing on a Sunday? He must be keen.
I'm the same thing. I noticed you were in your work clothes, and I'm like, what's he doing working today? I'm like, oh yeah, everywhere is not.
Yeah, I've got my work shirt on. I can confirm I'm fully dressed. So
that's just
more information that you needed to know.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so what we're going to talk about tonight, obviously we didn't have a game. We don't have a game to go through from the weekend there, so we'll have a chat about what's going on in the transfer window. I've obviously misspelled window there. I've wrote transfer widow, which maybe describes a lot of our wives at this time of the year, when our minds are on other things. we might have a look back at the young boys game, because obviously we haven't had a chance to chat about that yet. The Thursday boys did a good job of covering that review, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it. And with no game on the weekend, we might have a quick chat about that. We'll look ahead to this week's Aston Villa game in the Champions League down there in Birmingham. And if we have time at the end, we might have a look at some Celtic socials. But I don't, to be honest, I don't have anything lined up. So we'll see how we go from that one. So I will just put the ticker back on. And as usual, to all you guys in the comments, if you haven't subscribed yet, just go and do it. It's as simple as that. It costs you nothing, and it helps us a lot. All right. So straight into the transfer window stuff. So the first and probably biggest news that came out just after the Young Boys game was the fact that Kyogo was seemingly on his way to Rennes, Stade de Rennes in France, for a sum of 10 million quid. Most of us probably didn't believe it, thought it was kind of paper talk, but then the photographs started coming through of him leaving the airport and arriving in France. And although we haven't had any official confirmation yet, it does seem as if that's going to happen over the next year or two. So I'll go with you first, David. What was your initial reaction when you heard the news about Kyogo?
I was disappointed. I was assuming that if we had Kyogo leaving so quickly without getting the chance for the fans to say goodbye, then we must have had someone coming in the door the next day. That was obviously 4 or 5 days ago, and we still haven't heard anything. So that was a bit of a concern. There was rumours that maybe he's failed his medical or something with his dodgy shoulder. But I saw one of the posts earlier on from, I think, Lost in Bangkok, put something in our chat box that apparently Rennes are just waiting for Jota to be confirmed as part of the overall kind of story. I think to try and sort of calm the panic merchants like me, with the prospect of having Ida and Kenny and maybe somebody else, maybe the lad coming as our potentials to replace Kyogo. For all he's not been a prolific scorer this season, he's significantly better than anything we've got. So let's hope and pray that we are getting someone in, because I don't think moving Maida into a central position, even although that's what he does for Japan, is really what we should be looking for. So I agree 100% with Monty. We really have to have a quality striker, in place, whether it's Chris Garden, who I don't know if he's just come back from his winter break, so probably not ready to, probably not match fit for a while. So you wouldn't want to rush him into things if he's going to, risk injury. So that was my concern, panic merchant that I am.
Yeah, Dano, it's hard not to be a little bit sad, isn't it, with Kyogo departing? He's given us so many great moments in a Celtic shirt, and it's hard to sum up how good his contribution has been to the team over the past few years. He came at one of the lowest points in the club for a long time, just after the COVID season. And he basically, I don't think it's overstating it to say that he sort of almost single-handedly pulled us out of that malaise, and got us moving in the right direction under Ange. Yeah. So, how would you express your feelings with Kyogo leaving?
I think it's difficult to kind of look at it right now in perspective, because admittedly he's probably the best striker we've had since Larsson. It's either him or Dembele, I would say, as far as our best strikers since Larsson left. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about the move, but one thing I kind of thought about was moving Maida in as a striker. Jota moves in. I mean, Maida and another guy have been who've been the people who've been keeping Kyogo out of the national team. So obviously, that's something. So I think I'm not panicking about it. It's just hard to say goodbye to such an incredible striker and a guy who just scalps the Huns like almost every single time. I mean, the guy against our fiercest rivals just fucking hums them. So there have been great moments. I can understand the business side of it though. 10 million for him. We paid what, like 5.4, I think. So I don't know. I mean, with his age and with his performances, I don't think it's going to end up being a bad move. And with Maida's availability, I think Maida is more of a natural striker anyways.
Well, my problem with it is, as David mentioned there, I don't think we should have sold him at all until his replacement was in the building. Now, strikers take a notoriously long time to settle in to a club. They have to learn about the system. They have to learn about the coach and what the coach expects from them. And that's going to take time. So for me, and I think we talked about this in the summer, and our very own Jerry had shared a rumour with us that he had heard that Kyogo was looking for a move. And we'd said at the time, well, we should be signing his replacement now, as in last summer. Now, we didn't. And we're in this situation now and he's gone. And no matter what you say about Kyogo's form this season, he's the best striker at the club at the moment. And as somebody said earlier on, before a Champions League game, we've just weakened our own squad deliberately, basically, and it's self-inflicted. Brendan, I listened to Brendan's press conference with great interest at what was to be the pre-match press conference for the Dundee game that was called off. And I was really interested to see what he had to say about particularly what you were talking about there, Dano, Maida through the middle, whether he was going to pick that one up. And that would have gave me a bit of a hint that they might not be planning to sign a replacement striker or not just now anyway. But he wasn't really big on that. He kind of said, yeah, Maida can play there, but we want a replacement striker in. So, David, where do you stand on the Maida as a central striker?
I don't think he's a proven goal scorer, which is bizarre given the number of goals he scored and stuff. I just think his first touch is so unreliable. I think he's capable of moments of brilliance, like when he scored in the League Cup final. But as we know, he's equally capable of, hoofing the ball, missing the target by 40 yards. So for me, I would just be a little bit concerned that I think given what he brings to the team, he's difficult to drop. But I just don't think that he's that prolific striker. If we get 3 chances, he's going to take 1 or 2. I don't really think so. As I say, the timing with Kyogo really, they were saying they wanted him in before the Monaco game, but when you're a team fighting relegation, Monaco's not really something you want to be, sort of basing your hopes on. It's the teams all around you, and obviously he didn't play against Monaco, so I mean he could have been playing against Dundee if we'd been playing them, and Aston Villa. During the week. We'll obviously come to the Aston Villa game shortly. But, that's a very difficult one without Maida in the squad having been, red carded last week.
Yeah, so what do you think Dano will see on Wednesday night? We won't talk about the game in depth at the moment. We'll do that later on. But who do you think? Do you think Ida moves straight into a starting spot?
If Kyogo's gone, I mean, who knows what the timeline is on this whole thing. But yeah, that's what I would expect, especially with Maida suspended. So I don't think there's really too much of a choice there. And yeah, I'd expect Ida to start straight away. And a big opportunity for him, man. I mean, he's been pretty sub-ziggy most of the year, so it'd be good to see him get like a real crack at like a Champions League Champions League game. So, I mean, it's obviously not ideal with, with Maida out. I mean, either way, we kind of need him wherever he's going to play all the time. I mean, what he provides is unbelievable as far as pace and hustle, but we're going to have to do without on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, and that's really going to affect how we play, because I mean, Brendan notoriously likes to change his striker around about the 60th minute, and I can't see that happening. We won't be able to do that because we've only got one striker. Johnny Kenny's not in the Champions League squad, so we can't introduce him in that environment, and I don't see anyone else who can play through the middle there, unless maybe Nicholas Kuhn maybe could take a turn in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So how do you think that'll affect how we line up, David, on Wednesday night?
I think for Wednesday night, there's also, we've got to be a wee bit practical here. I understand that if, in terms of the yellow card situation, if you get 2 yellow cards, then you're suspended for the next game, and that you don't lose the yellow cards until the quarterfinal. So, do we really want to sort of push? I mean, we've got people like Alistair Johnson. If he was to get a yellow card in a sort of fairly meaningless, well, it's not meaningless, obviously, but, we've already qualified. But it's the next game that's the huge game, who we play next. And if he was to get a booking on Wednesday night, then we're up against, Ralston against, Liverpool or Bayern Munich or whoever we get. So I think we need to be a bit practical in terms of what we want to do. But the fact that we don't have Maida means that we're going to have a much weaker team without Kyogo to do the running and the chasing that Ida just cannot do. I think we've got 24 players registered, so I don't know if we would have the possibility to register like Cumming or someone, but or else I guess we're waiting until we're able to register Tierney and whoever else we get for the knockout stage.
Yeah, I mean that's the question, isn't it? I don't think my understanding is that you can't change your squad until after the group stage is finished. So we would be able to do that for the playoff round, but not for the Aston Villa game. So I think we're just going to have to go in there with Ida on his own. And hope that he doesn't break down injured. So it's not a great position to be in. And again, this is another reason why I don't really believe it was the correct time to sell Kyogo. But anyway, we'll move on and have a look at potentially who's going to replace Kyogo if we assume that they're going to sign someone. And obviously the big rumour is Mathias Kvistgaarden from Brøndby in Denmark, who's a 22-year-old striker. Now we seem to have been linked with this player for maybe the last 3 transfer windows,
4 cycles,
and never. And I'm not sure we've even submitted a bid for him. It just seems to have been constantly linked. But they're going to have to do something about it now. Now they reckon he is going to take north of £10 million to get across the line, maybe as much as 12 million. Which would be obviously a club record after we signed Arnie Engels for 11 in the summer. So, David, what do you know much about Kvistgaarden? Obviously, we've all seen the videos. Every transfer window, we watch the videos thinking we're going to sign him. And do you think he's a guy that would be able to step into Kyogo's shoes?
So I don't really know that much about him apart from the sort of the 10-minute videos. I think the jury's out a little bit in terms of, I think he's been playing sort of professional football for a few years now, and I think we could all probably, even from our 5-a-side days, manage to get 2 minutes of above mediocrity. But in saying that, he's what, 22, 23, so I don't know if he's made it into the national team. He's someone that Rodgers seems to have faith in. So, I mean, I would be happy to kind of go with his judgment rather than mine. But, as I mentioned earlier on, they've had quite a long winter break. It'll probably take him quite a while to fit in. But what's more important is that if we're keen on the guy, let's not mess about. Let's get him in. He's the one that Rodgers has got faith in. Get him ready. And as you mentioned, Stephen, it takes the strikers usually quite a while to get in. I think Hartson took 8 games before he scored his first goal. And, look what happened to him. If Rodgers thinks he's the man, then let's go for it. I've seen also in terms of Jamie Vardy, who would be a very, very, very short-term solution. I do think he would hit the ground running for the next, 2 or 3 months. But I wouldn't, obviously, I wouldn't be looking at giving Vardy anything more than a 6-month contract just to see us in. But definitely, whoever we get in, we need to get them in now, rather than when it comes to the qualifying stage for the Champions League, which we'll have to face next year. So get them in, whoever Rodgers wants.
Yeah, I don't even think it's as much as about the qualifying. It's about the rest of this season, because there's plenty of narrative around the place that the league's done, for me, I think it's pretty silly to be saying that at this point. Although it would be a major surprise if we go on and lose the league from here, and it's probably not going to happen. We still have to go and win the games. We still have to go and play the games, and I don't know if any of you guys, maybe I'll ask you, Dano, would you be comfortable going the rest of the season with a striker pairing of Ida and Johnny Kenny swapping in and out? Would you be okay with that for the next stages of the Champions League and for the rest of the league and the Scottish Cup?
No. But like I said, I am wondering what Rodgers has in mind. If in fact we are bringing in Jota, what are we doing with Maida? So I don't know. And if Rodgers trusts that, I trust it too. But yeah, if it's just Ida and Johnny Kennedy he has in mind, I mean, you have to have 3 strikers just generally. So I don't think that's like the plan at all. Is he going to use Maida up front? I think it's an interesting question. I think most fans will say, no, I don't care what Japan does, blah, blah, blah. But I'm interested to know what Rodgers has in mind here, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Jamie Vardy there, David, and I saw those rumours myself there. But I'm not really sure that's even realistic, to be honest, because I noticed he scored yesterday for Leicester against Tottenham, and he seems to have been pretty prolific for them this season. I think probably he's a first-class striker, Jamie Vardy, albeit at the tail end of his career. But I don't think he would have any chance of signing him. Certainly not on loan when Leicester are battling against relegation down there. So, what would Dano? Would you be interested in Jamie Vardy?
No, not at all. I'm also not. I mean, Chris Garden for 10, 12? I mean, it's one thing to sign a kid from the Bundesliga like Engels for around that, right? It's another thing to sign a kid from the Swedish league for that. I do think that's way overpriced. I don't think it's completely outlandish, but I think, this is the type of team in a type of league where Celtic could and should negotiate that price for sure. I think you could get him for 7.58 realistically.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, and I will fact check you there, Dan. It is actually the Danish league, not the Swedish league. I don't know if that makes
okay. That does make a difference.
I don't know if that makes any difference to your sums. Yeah, so
yeah.
So just getting back to
it's still overpriced. It's still overpriced, man.
Yeah. It's way overpriced, but we are where we are, and I think at the end of the day, we've put ourselves in this position because everybody knows now we need to replace Kyogo. And this is, again, we're getting back to, is this the right time to sell him? I don't think it is, because every club knows now that we need a striker. Now, we get caught in the summer. We get caught in the summer with Ida, We tried to play a game with Norwich and let it drag on and on and on, and we eventually ended up having to pony up £9 million, and I think everybody would agree that was too much for Ida, and probably this is going to be too much for Fitzgarden. But if you want a player, you have to pay the money. There is some suggestion there's a couple of Bundesliga teams sniffing around him now. He has got, I think it's 4. Just check here. So he's got 13 appearances for Denmark's under-21s. So he hasn't played for the full team yet, but there is, it does seem that's likely going to happen over the next couple of years. This season he's got 22 appearances and 14 goals. So that's a decent scoring return in the Danish league. So where would you sit on the transfer valuation, David?
I think we have to pay what we have to pay. I think if it's 10 million, it's 12 million. I mean, if it was a difference between like 4 million and 10 million, then we're going to negotiate. But really, as I say, for me, it's more important if we want him in the door, then we pay 10 or we pay 12. It's a gamble. Obviously, it's a big gamble. And I think going back to what Dano was saying about the league that he's coming from, I read somewhere that Morten Rasmussen was the Danish sort of top scorer in their various leagues for some time. So there's not really a lot of history of outstanding talent. That I don't know how strong the Danish league is in terms of how many teams they have in the Europa League or in. I don't think there's any in the Champions League, is there? Maybe I doubt it. So I don't really know if 14 goals is spectacularly good. I think he has got potential, but again, he's, what is he, 22, 23?
Yeah, it's 22.
Then...
Yeah, 22.
22. So if I said if Rodgers fancies him, then let's just do it. Because I really think we have to get somebody in. I agree 100%, Stephen. There's no guarantee that the league's won. I still think we'll win the league by 20 points. But I've said that for a while. But there's a couple of dodgy decisions, and the fans get on our back, and the fact that we don't replace Kyogo, it would just be shooting yourself in the foot, which is something spectacularly typical of Celtic in the past. But hopefully not. But let's if it's 10 million, it's 12 million. I don't really care if he's the one that Rodgers wants. And the other thing is, typically in the past, we've had a lot of in-the-know posters, in our group as well as, the Kerridale Streets, etc. There's always one that comes out of the blue that we haven't, even the in-the-know people didn't really know so much about. So but please, in the next 3 or 4 days, I think it's the 3rd of February, the transfer window finishes.
Yeah. So it's a week tomorrow. So we've got like a full week left to get this business done. But it does. There's plenty of speculation. Seems to be plenty of things happening. But I'd like to see some actual bodies through the door. And speaking of bodies through the door, obviously the news we've all been reading over the past few days. We're just waiting on confirmation, maybe today, that our enigmatic double denim wearing winger from Portugal, Jota, is on his way back to the club after having had an 18-month loan spell, really, when you think about it, which is netted us a profit of £16 million, and it looks as if we're going to get him back again. So, Dano, how happy will you be to see the George Michael lookalike back in the building?
I will be doubly excited if I see him and AJ rocking some kind of Canadian tuxedo thing to do the press conference or something after he's finally announced. Jota, man. I mean, he belonged here. Let's face it. But I mean, we made a great bit of cash off of him, and he's just coming back. It's the same thing with Tierney, man. I mean, if Tierney comes back, brilliant, perfect. I mean, that's what the fans have all been kind of waiting for, the white smoke to come out on. So I would absolutely the moment I heard there was a chance Jota was coming back, even with losing Kyogo, fabulous, man.
Can I just say for the George Michael reference, wake me up before Kyogo?
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Thank
good.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And unfortunately, David has to leave us now, so we might catch up with him another time. So yeah, just talking from a purely football point of view now. Where do you think Jota fits into the team, David? There was I brought a comment up just a minute ago there that was talking about whether Jota tracks back or not and does the defensive side of the game. Where do you think he fit into the team?
I think it's one of those ones. I mean, you can't have him and Maida. I mean, you'd have to do some serious reshuffling of the team. I mean, would we be going 3-5-2? Would we be again trying to horseshoe people into the team? I think if we get the horseshoe, if we get the Jota back at the level he was at 18 months ago, then he's a star man. He's going to take a while to fit in. So again, hopefully we'll be looking at a situation where Kyogo, either him or Maida start with after 60 minutes of substitution. It is likely, while we're waiting for Chris Garden or whoever to come up to speed, that I think Jota would maybe play in the left and have Maida through the middle with Ida coming on after 60 minutes. But I think once he's up to speed, then I think it will be a challenge to see how we get the ideal system. But I don't think he's going to walk straight into the team. I think it will take him a good while to get his match fitness up.
Yeah, so I think that's probably right. So I mean, clearly a really good player, and the good thing about Jota is that he can play both sides. So he would provide cover on both flanks if in the event of a Kuhn injury. I just brought up a comment there from Gav, who's actually in the comments, and he's saying that this probably means that Maida could be off in the summer. But I think that's maybe catastrophizing a bit. Dano, do you think that the signing of Jota means Maida's halfway out the door, or is Gav just having a bit of a conniption fit?
I don't think one necessarily is connected to the other. I don't think Maida or the team know either way whether he's staying or going this summer. I mean, offers would have to come in, whatever. I mean, who knows what the future may tell. But yeah, I think we're getting Jota in because I mean we're steadily building the quality of this squad. I mean, and getting Jota back and Tierney back is kind of a big statement of intent there. So I don't think it's necessarily connected to Maida per se. It could be, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so it looks like Jota is going to come in, so that takes the edge off the pain of Kyogo leaving slightly. And the next one off the rank apparently is Kieran Tierney. Now again, we've been talking about this one for so long now, for weeks, since the very start of the transfer window, where I think it was Fabrizio Romano broke the news that Celtic were talking to Tierney, and Tierney only wants a move back to Celtic. So I noticed he played again for Arsenal yesterday, just for a few minutes off the bench. So it doesn't really seem as if anything's particularly imminent there. I had heard the suggestion that he wouldn't be in the squad for the Arsenal game because he was moving to Celtic this week sometime. But where do you think that one's sitting just now, David?
I think they're just really sort of playing hardball. I saw somewhere that they're looking for a £3 million fee for the remaining 6 months, which again, if you look at, he was on 110 grand a week, and we're maybe offering him, say, 30 or 40, then why don't we bite the bullet? Again, it's something that the the KT factor that would get the positivity we would get by having him in the building is worth £3 million.
Absolutely.
We're rolling in cash, and you look at the catastrophe with the Huns, and for us to get Tierney back, it just gives you that feel good factor. Probably takes us over the line in some of the dodgy games. So I think we should really be pushing the boat out. If it is $3 million, let's do it. Let's get it over the line. I don't know how much of it's due to the fact that Arteta's an ex-Hun, and the fact that he refused to play him for the best part of 2 years or however long that Arteta's been in the job. And now suddenly that we've got him in a pre-contract, he brings him on for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 minutes, just to kind of. I'm not saying he's doing that to piss us off. I'm hoping he's got a wee bit more maturity than that. But yeah, I would have Tierney in the building as quickly as possible. Get that feel good factor. Get him and Jota, doing a video and whichever pub getting the double denim on and the microphone out of the cupboard.
Get the megaphone all dusted off. That'd be where I would sit as well. I think £3 million is not much at all to be paying, and what you get from that is leadership. You get desire, a real desire for the team to succeed, and you get a top class professional in the building who's ready to play straight away. Because obviously, if he's coming off the bench for Arsenal, he's match fit and ready to go. So. Dano, is that where you would sit as well?
I mean, one of our viewers said it best earlier in the comments. It's like the thought of Jota and Tierney as our left side has me aroused. That's literally what they said, and I'm pretty much right on board with that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm more excited about Tierney coming back than I am about Jota. Truth be told, I mean, Tierney just offers so much at left back that we've been missing. Badly with Greg Taylor. I know, I don't want to, punch on Greg Taylor. He's taken enough shots this season, but having Tierney back is definitely a step up.
Yeah.
And it's worth £3 million. Yeah, just do it. Just do it, man. It's not like 10. Yeah. It's not like 12. That's nothing to sneeze at. £3 million. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, we really should be just paying that money. And we do seem to be, I know Ange mentioned this when he first came into the club. We just seem to be painfully slow at getting these deals done. And, the Kieran Tierney deal, it must be the easiest deal in the history of football. The guy's just desperate to come to Celtic. I mean, he's knocking back double the money elsewhere because he wants to come. I just don't see what the problem is. And if they want £3 million, we're not paying a transfer fee for him. So £3 million, is really chicken feed. When you consider Motherwell are looking for over £6 million for Lennon Miller, £3 million to get Kieran Tierney in the door is nothing at all. But hopefully that will be resolved this week. Do you think it will be, David? Do you think we'll see Jota and Kieran Tierney in the building by the time we play again?
Definitely. Also, in terms of Miller as the possible midfielder, I saw in one of the websites today that one of the supposedly in the no posters was saying that we're very interested in a Scottish midfielder, but not the one that people are thinking. So, potentially suggesting it's not Miller. And the guy was hinting maybe it's this Scottish guy that's playing for West Ham. But again, a bit like Vardy, who's scoring goals for Leicester. If this guy is playing first team football for West Ham, it might be out of our price bracket. But it'll be interesting. I still think that at 18 years old, 5 or 6 million for Miller is a gamble worth paying.
The other thing I was thinking about. Sorry.
No, you go, Daniel.
The other thing I was thinking about just recently, just now, is okay. Tierney's keen at the moment to come back. I think you want to pay right now because even if we've got him on some kind of pre-contract agreement, or if he's signed, who knows? But getting him back now, then he's definitely with us going forward, right? I mean, a lot can happen in like 6 months if he hasn't in fact signed a pre-contract. So who knows what changes in that intervening time? Just pay the $3 million, get him in the car.
Yeah, and the longer you leave him playing for Arsenal, the chance that there's a chance he's going to get injured, and then you don't have him at all for the rest of the season. So yeah, I don't see the sense in it at all. But there you go. That's the way we operate as a board, as far as I can see. But we'll move on maybe to maybe just a couple of small bits of transfer news. And another player we've been linked with is Louis Barry from Aston Villa, a winger stroke forward who's been out on loan with Stockport County in League One this year. He's been recalled by Villa with a view to perhaps get him to sign a new contract and loaning him out again. But apparently we're interested in signing him full time. I don't know much about him, but he does seem to be a good prospect. David, do you know anything about Louis Barry?
Again, just the little clips that you've seen, but it raises the Irish quotient in the team. He seems to have great potential. I mean, this is a guy who, when he was 15 or 16, was playing at Barcelona. And if you look at the teams that he's played for, I know it's kind of gone from Barcelona down. So from Barcelona to Stockport is not your sort of the trajectory we'd necessarily be wanting to be going for. But he's a young guy, and I do think that apparently with Stockport he has been pretty outstanding. Again, the best dressed man in Albania kind of syndrome. But I think that there's a lot of potential there, and in the end up, if he's the one who's coming in instead of Chris Garden or whoever, I think that would be a good move. I would certainly be happy if we got him in. Very happy.
Yeah, I think he certainly got a good background to his career anyway, having coming through the Barcelona academy. Now I noticed he's also played for both Ireland and England at international level through the youth ranks. So we need to get that sorted out for the first thing. If he came with us, he needs to make a decision there. So that's probably. Is there any other transfer news you guys want to talk about?
I think that about covers it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we do need cover at things like right back and stuff like that. My fear is that I think AJ his performances have dropped quite a bit in the last couple of months, and I think we're in danger of just running him into the ground. And for all that Ralston is a Celtic fan, etc., and he does his very best. I really would like to see us someone who could challenge, AJ for that position. I think also in terms of the centre of defence, at some point we need to be looking at upgrades on the replacements. This Dane Murray might be a potential in the future, but I would hope that we're not just looking at sort of the forward line, and I hope he doesn't think that we're going to be just happy with Jota and KT, because there's other areas of the squad that we definitely need to be working on.
Yeah.
Well, that also, I mean, with the kind of heads that AJ's been turning this year, how long are we going to be able to hold on to him, man? I mean, you get rated like he has, one of the best players at his position in the world over the past year. People are probably going to be, knocking on our door over the summer.
I think if he plays the way he's been playing the last month, we'll probably have him for quite a while. But definitely, I think he's a tremendous player. He was the best right back in the Americas Cup or whatever it was called. And obviously he's got massive potential, potentially captain of Celtic, material. He's a leader, and let's not just run him into the ground and ruin the guy, because I would love to see if we can keep him at a quality that he's shown relatively consistently in the last in the last 2 years, then we'll see a fantastic addition and a potential captain for us.
Geyser.
Yeah, okay. So that'll we'll round up the transfer news there, and we'll move on from that. Just we're up with 45 minutes already, so I probably won't talk too much about the young boys game. Maybe just quickly, quick summary of your heart rate during that game, Dano.
Man, it was a ride. I mean, it shouldn't have been. We absolutely blew them out of the water in the first half. It was ridiculous. It was exactly as expected, except we were offside every single time. I mean, some of them were obvious. The other ones were tight calls, but Arnie too. Arnie's got to bury that penalty. The game has totally changed after that. I mean, young boys would have crumbled after that first goal, but it was an exciting game to watch, man, and we pulled it off in the end. So beautiful.
Yeah,
don't come easy, man.
Yeah, and David, what was your viewing experience of the young boys game? What time of the day was it in Bangkok for the starters?
So I was in Myanmar. I was working in Myanmar for a week. Right. And so I was actually listening to Dano and Kaiser's drink along, or it should be X-Men Dano and Kaiser's drink along for the fantastic dog, who was obviously who was the star of that show.
Every time.
Is he in the huff at the back there because you're not petting him?
Yeah. No, he's just watching every move, man. Just watching every move. This is my personal radar right here.
But it is such a stressful way to get updates, because usually when you're watching the game live, but when you've got 3 different people or 5 different people that are various minutes behind, and it was a goal, but then it wasn't a goal, and then it was a goal again, and it wasn't a goal, and I was like, bloody hell, lads, can you not make your mind up? And,
it was ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
But the one thing I would say is that from the Thursday podcast where Ian was saying that he thought Hatate was I can't remember how he put it, but pish was probably a little bit extreme. But I thought Hatate.
I think that about summarised it well, David, for what Ian was trying to say.
Pretty much.
But from my Hatate fanboy bias, and from the commentaries that I was watching on various sort of like the BBC thread, and it was a bit like having teletext in the 1980s. So I would not recommend it for anyone. My heart was absolutely bouncing. And then when Maida gets sent off, and oh my goodness. It
is a weird experience, admittedly. It's kind of like living in like Rick and Morty's multiverse. Like we're all on separate timelines. Christoph is always ahead of us, so he's like our correspondent in the future. So we usually know what's happening. And he's right on it. But yeah, everybody else is reacting to goals at different times. And Kaiser and I even can never sync up what we're doing on the drink along. So more adventures in the multiverse. At Villa this week, so
it was funny. It was funny when Maida gets sent off. My son actually messaged me, and all he said was "Oh no!" So I was like, I was left to muse. What does that mean? Is he ahead of me in the stream, and has something bad happened apart from, or is he talking about Maida getting sent off? He just wrote, "Oh no," and I was like, "Oh no, surely there's not going to be an equaliser now." But thankfully, that's what he was talking about. He was talking about poor old Tyson getting his marching orders, and how wholesome was his comment on social media after the game, apologising to everyone.
What am I saying? Yeah. Dude, but one thing that cannot be overlooked is if we had a normal goalkeeper, Young Boys would have equalized that game. I mean, right, 2 saves right in a row from Casper were just critical, man. Absolutely critical. So, wow.
Yeah, top quality goalkeeper.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on now, and we'll talk about the game on Wednesday night, Thursday morning here in Australia. We travelled down for a final game of the group stage of the Champions League this year, and we're playing Aston Villa down there at Villa Park in Birmingham. I noticed we do actually have an Aston Villa fan in the comments, and that is Danny Band. As a Villa fan now living in Glasgow, don't think I'll be able to stay here if we lose on Wednesday. We'll never hear the end of it. So welcome to a Celtic world, Danny. We're always happy to have other fans from other teams, except the Huns, obviously. But you're very welcome here to give us your views and what you think the game, how you think the game's going to play out. So I might go to you first, David. How do you think how do you think we're going to line up down at Villa Park? What do you think the starting lineup's going to be, and how do you think the game's going to go?
So I think that he has to start with Ida up front. We've got no Kyogo, we've got no Maida, so I think we have to go with Ida up front. I think that as much as I love Hatate, I think Bernardo brings a bit more solidity to the centre midfield, and I think we can maybe see about bringing Hatate on kind of later on. I would be tempted to start Ralston because AJ's already on the booking, and I don't know who else we've got on a booking. I don't know if CCV, but really Aston Villa, they've got a massive opportunity that if they win, they've got a very good chance of the top 8. So they'll be throwing everything at us. I hope that, obviously I want us to win, obviously, but a respectable, performance and a respectable scoreline is very fine by me, because I think when you look at the potential, it actually probably suits us to lose the game in terms of who we face next.
Yes.
I saw something saying that if we lose, we've either got, is it Monaco or Lille or Fenerbahce or something like that. Whereas if we win or draw, we're probably looking at Man City, Real Madrid, and then if we beat them, then playing Liverpool. So it wouldn't be the worst thing if we do lose. I'm not saying obviously we would ever go out to lose, but I think we have to be practical in terms of looking at the game after this. You'd be furious if you've got 2 or 3 key players. I think even Schmeichel's I think he's had a booking already. So I don't know whether it's 2 yellow cards or 3 yellow cards that kicks in the ban, but we should get sacked for stupidity if we've got guys that missed the game after this because of a stupid booking on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think Ralston at right back though is just a stretch too far for me. We do want to, and I know Rodgers has got his ego, as we all know, and he's not going to want to get hammered down there. He sees himself as an English Premiership manager, and he sees himself as being that level of coach. So he's going to want to go down there and win the game. So I think we'll play our strongest team, and I think that means AJ at right back. Although I do take your point, David, we do have to think about giving him a rest at some point, or he's just going to break down completely, and we lose him for months. And that's not what we want to see. I think one of probably the only sort of selection issue that Rodgers is going to have to look at is who replaces Maida. And I know, Dano, you're a fully paid up member of the Yang Gang. But do you think Do you think Yang comes straight in there, or do you think is there any other option for us there, or what do you think he could do?
Yeah. I mean, this is the big problem because Yang at that level, he's been playing decently of late. I mean, but he just doesn't have the IQ. Like Kaiser and I were talking about this a lot about Yang watching the games during the drink-alongs. I mean, when we're actually talking about football for like the 5 or 6 minutes of the game that we actually do talk about football, but he does strike me as someone who kind of makes like a wrong move once, like he gets overexcited. You get kind of this feeling with O as well, like he was right in front of the goal, clanging off the bar or something like that. It seems like he doesn't quite make the right move once he does free himself up every so often. But yeah, I mean, who else do we have?
Well, it's either him or Lewis Palmer, probably. So, David, do you think what would be your shout there? Is it Palmer or Yang or any other?
So I would also be in the Yang gang. I think that one of the things that he does bring to the team is he tracks back a lot. And I saw some statistics a couple of weeks ago where I think he was only second behind Maida in terms of like percentage of minutes played, etc. But I think he does bring that side of the game that I think we are going to need. And then after 60 minutes, when we're 3-0 up, we can we can bring on Palmer or whatever. But I would start with Yang for sure.
Yeah, I think he'll start with Yang as well, but I do think Palmer will see some game time as the game goes on. I think that for me the key issue in this game is how we cope with Villa's front line. They've got some scary talent up there, particularly Ollie Watkins, who's just a phenomenal player, and you love watching him. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, and he's very, very fast, and he's a great finisher. So, Cameron Carter-Vickers and I assume Austin Trusty will have the work cut out to deal with him. And if we could keep the Villa front players quiet, I think certainly for the first half an hour of the game, we can grow into the game. And then you never know, we might take something away from it. But as you mentioned, David, it's weird, isn't it, that the way the tournament is worked out now is we'd probably be better off losing, because I think it's either Feyenoord, Brest, or Monaco would be the three teams we'd be playing if we lost. And yeah, and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and Man City are all in there if we somehow manage to get up the table. So I think look, I'm not gonna say we're gonna lose the game, because I never back against Celtic to lose. But I think if we get out of the game with a draw, if you offered me that right now, I'd bite your hand off. Dano, what would be your score prediction?
We're gonna win, obviously. Come on, man. I'm not. I would go for a draw though, obviously. I mean, their front line is scary good. But they do seem, they have vulnerabilities in the back. I don't think anybody up in Scotland or anybody in the larger Celtic family needs to fool themselves that we're facing a juggernaut here. They do have issues keeping the ball out of the net, and we can attack them if we take our perfect opportunities. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. Just like it's just like this post on which shout to David down in Malaysia, down at the KLCSC for sharing this with our group chat, because it's a brilliant post, man.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll just read it out. If people can't,
let's go for it.
If people can't see the screen, I'll read it out. If Celtic beat Villa next week, our potential opponents could be Man City, PSG, Sporting, Benfica, or PSV. If they lose to Villa, it's Brest, Lille, Feyenoord, or Monaco. And this is from Ibrox Meltdowns on Twitter, and he's saying, "Send the women's team down, please, Brendan." So,
I mean.
A little bit. I mean, maybe a touch misogynistic.
Yeah,
for this highbrow shows like us, So you can't
point made, I guess. Point made, although poorly. Yeah.
So I'll jump on to you now, David. what do you think? How do you think we're getting? Maybe how do you think the game's going to pan out, and what do you think the score will be?
So I think we can quite easily get a draw. I think a victory could be a bit of a challenge for us. Say Aston Villa have got loads to play for. They have got a fantastic manager. I mean, I'd like to know what the Aston Villa fan thinks about Gerrard. As their manager before they get a proper one in the door. But he's a European specialist. They do apparently. I don't think they've won a game in the league after they've been playing in the Champions League. So I think they're saving up their good performances for the Champions League. It's unfortunate, I think, that they've got a lot to play for, and no Kyogo is just mental. I mean, we should have had Kyogo, and if he was playing, and as the Villa fan said, if they don't have any recognised centre backs, then I think Kyogo would have given us a better opportunity. So with Ida up front, we'll probably have to maybe play a bit more direct into the box, and see how that works. So if the centre halves are not up to it, then I think we will have to. Yes, thank you, Danny. You put it in perfectly. So I would like to. I mean, I'm always confident. I mean, I usually get it completely wrong, predicting three or 4 or 5 goal victories. But I'm having to rein in my prediction this time to a 2-1 victory instead. So I'll keep it close, but 2-1 or else a scoring draw.
I think it's going to be a battle, man. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah. But don't get stupid yellow cards.
These Battle of Britain games, as the press love to call them, are always very important, particularly for us, because we spend our whole life, getting a sort of abuse like this is a farmers' league up in Scotland and all this pishing. But my nan could win the Scottish Premier League stuff and all that. So when these situations come along, you do want to give them a bloody nose. So let's hope we can at least put on a good display. But I see John McGinn's back fit again for Aston Villa, and obviously him having a strong connection to Celtic and being a big Celtic fan. I think it's probably written in the stars that he's going to contribute in some way to the game. Let's hope that John goes with his heart and scores an own goal. That would be nice. Thank you, John. But it's going to be a very, very difficult game. So, were you doing a drink along for that one, Dano?
Girl, it's true. Yeah, we're doing it. I mean, I've missed some league, midweek games, but I'm off all week this week. So I'm definitely doing a drink along. I'm pretty sure Kaiser will be informed as well. Kaiser, you in? Let us know in the chat. He's been posting all over the place as usual. So yeah, I'm definitely in for it. Don't know if I'll be drinking per se, but yeah, it's gonna be. Here we go.
Yeah.
Along with the star of the show lying behind you.
Yeah. We'll be there 15-ish minutes before kickoff.
What's your viewing plan, David?
So I'll definitely get up for it. We won't be showing the game in the pub. I think is it about 3 o'clock kickoff? So 3 in the morning kickoff. So I will be discussing for the next round. I really want to be able to watch the game in the pub for when we get through to the the playoff stage. But no, I think for this one I'll be quite happy to watch from behind the couch. And fingers crossed.
Yeah, very good, very good. So I think that probably draws a line under today's show. So thanks, Dano, Thanks, David. We've got 504 people watching live at the moment, so it's a decent number of beautiful souls watching along. So thank you very much for giving up your time, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here, and keep tuning in. Special thanks to Danny for giving us his insight from the Aston Villa side of things. And I hope you have a really good season, Danny, after the game on Wednesday night, where I hope you get absolutely pumped. So all in good. It's all in good fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
All right, so guys will be along on Thursday to review that game. And until then, I will say have a great day, night, evening, wherever you are, and hail.
Yeah, hail, folks. Cheers.
Yep.